You notice it, the instant the room settles into that heavy stillness, not silence, but the kind that presses against your chest and signals something important is being left unsaid. Pay close attention. What you're experiencing isn't confusion. It's awareness, without permission, two people sensing the same emotional truth while both pretending it doesn't exist. And the tension you feel isn't anxiety, it's recognition, without language. As a psychologist, there's something you need to understand that most men are never told. When a woman feels something real, deep, and destabilizing, she doesn't rush toward clarity. She slows down. Not because she's unsure, but because she's certain. Certainty disrupts comfort. Certainty demands movement, and movement threatens stability. The first sign that you both feel it but avoid naming it is this. Your interactions feel intense, but contained. Eye contact lingers just a moment too long before breaking. Conversations drift toward depth, then retreat back into humor, logistics, or surface talk. It's emotional edging, both of you leaning toward the truth, then pulling away at the same time. Here's what men usually misunderstand. You assume avoidance means lack of interest. It doesn't. Avoidance often means the emotional stakes feel too high. When a woman is indifferent, she's casual. When she's uncertain, she is saying consistent. But when she knows something could disrupt her emotional balance, she becomes careful, deliberate, quiet. You may notice she asks about your past, your values, your fears, but never directly about the two of you. She circles the fire without stepping into it. And you do the same. You tell yourself you're being respectful, patient, not forcing anything. But beneath that restraint is fear on both sides. Fear of naming something that can't be unseen once spoken. This is where men often sabotage themselves. You start analyzing every word, every pause in her replies, every subtle shift in tone. You tell yourself stories to stay emotionally safe. If she wanted more, she'd say it. That belief isn't wisdom, it's conditioning. Emotional intelligence says something different. People don't speak when they're unsure. They speak when they feel safe enough to risk loss. And right now, neither of you feels safe enough. So the tension builds. You feel closer without actually getting closer. Intimacy without definition. Connection without direction. It's intoxicating and exhausting at the same time. Your nervous system stays activated, waiting for a resolution that never arrives. Here's the truth you weren't meant to hear. This phase doesn't resolve itself. It either evolves through courage or decays through silence. And silence always costs more than honesty. But before you rush to fix anything, you need to understand what's really happening beneath the surface, because without that understanding, you'll either force clarity too early or avoid it indefinitely. Both lead to regret. You're not weak for sensing this. You, reperceptive. The question is whether you stay perceptive or become passive. The second sign is subtler, and this is where most men misread everything. Emotional intensity increases, but progress stops. You don't move forward. Yet you don't drift apart, you hover. And hovering isn't neutral. It's tension being managed, not resolved. She remembers details about you that others don't. How you take your coffee, the tone you use when you're hiding stress. She notices mood shifts before you speak. That level of attunement doesn't come from casual interest. It comes from emotional investment. Here's the paradox. The more invested she feels, the more cautious she becomes. Emotional awareness creates vulnerability. Vulnerability threatens control. Men are often taught that when a woman pulls back, she's losing interest. Psychologically, that's only true when the pullback is cold. This isn't cold. It's measured, intentional, respectful. She doesn't disappear. She stays in contact, she checks in, she remains present, but never escalates. This is emotional braking. She feels the speed increasing and instinctively slows things down to prevent a crash. And you feel it too. You want to say something, but you wait for the perfect moment. You want clarity, but you fear that asking for it will alter the dynamic. So you call it patience, but patience driven by fear slowly turns into self-betrayal. What's actually happening underneath is this. Both of you are protecting an emotional image. She's protecting the version of herself that feels composed and in control. You're protecting the version of yourself that feels chosen without having to ask. And the price of protecting those images is honesty. You begin editing yourself. She does too. You avoid certain topics. She redirects conversations when they get too close to truth. Not because the truth is unwanted, but because once spoken, it demands action. And action risks rejection. This is where attraction quietly transforms into emotional tension. Desire mixed with restraint creates intensity. That intensity can feel meaningful. But without movement, it becomes pressure. And pressure, when unacknowledged, turns into distance. There's another detail most men overlook. She may test emotional safety indirectly. She brings up hypothetical relationships, boundaries, or people who rush intimacy. She's not talking about others. She's gauging you. She's watching how you respond with steadiness or defensiveness, presence or pressure, and your response matters more than you think. If you minimize it or joke it away, she reads emotional unavailability. If you push for reassurance, she reads instability. What she's unconsciously looking for is emotional steadiness, the ability to hold tension without forcing resolution. The third sign is almost invisible, yet it's the loudest of all: mirrored hesitation. You see it in timing, gestures, subtle habits. She laughs a fraction too long. She leans in slightly, then pulls back. You do the same without realizing it. This isn't coincidence. It's chemistry entangled with caution. It's the brain saying, "We feel this, but we're not ready to name it." Men often mistake this for casual comfort or friendliness. It isn't. It's emotional resonance restrained by fear. Every lingering glance, every shared silence, every pause is a silent negotiation. Both of you are testing the same invisible boundary. Here's the truth. Most men never hear. When a woman mirrors your hesitation, she's signaling interest strong enough to require caution, and caution strong enough to delay action. That's the paradox. You feel connection without commitment, chemistry without clarity, and that space between feeling and speaking is where confusion, obsession, and longing live. So what do men usually do? We build internal narratives, assigning motives and outcomes that may not exist. We believe more thinking will reveal the truth. It doesn't. Overthinking turns resonance into tension, and tension into fear. You start measuring everything: tone, timing, words, gestures, when the real language has nothing to do with logic. It's intuition, emotional intelligence, subtle cues that only exist when both people are deeply aware. Notice how you both occasionally test boundaries. A joke, a touch, a shared secret. It's risk, but controlled. Both of you are probing whether the other will step closer emotionally without forcing it. This is avoidance disguised as interaction. Here's the key insight. Unspoken feelings create a mirror effect. You see yourself in her caution. She sees herself in yours. And because neither of you has spoken the truth, that reflection becomes addictive. It keeps the tension alive. It keeps you invested. But there's danger here. Left unresolved, this loop feeds anxiety. Desire intensifies. Clarity fades. What could have been intimacy becomes silent frustration. And most men let this continue, hoping she eventually open up, while the opportunity for honesty quietly slips away. The mirrored hesitation, the silent testing, the emotional restraint. These aren't signs of nothing. They're signs of something real waiting to be acknowledged. And now, listen carefully. The moment you both sense it but avoid the conversation isn't a cue to wait. It's a psychological alarm. It demands courage, clarity, and emotional honesty. Because here's what happens when silence continues. The tension grows heavier. Your nervous system stays on edge. You replay conversations. You analyze tone, pauses, laughter. She does the same. Attraction turns into anxiety. Intimacy becomes a game. And the longer it lasts, the higher the emotional stakes climb. The breakthrough comes with one understanding. Emotional safety isn't avoiding risk. It's managing it with awareness. She needs to feel that you can hold truth without collapsing. You need to feel that she can reveal herself without chaos. You don't need lines, tricks, or manipulation. You need presence, awareness, honesty without pressure. A simple acknowledgement, a statement or question that shows you see the tension can shift everything. Avoidance feels safe. Clarity feels free. You're not destroying anything by speaking honestly. You're giving the connection its only chance to evolve. You both already feel it. You both already know it. The only thing left is naming it, because hesitation costs more than rejection ever will. So, reflect. Think about the last time you felt this pull, this silent tension with someone. How much time have you spent avoiding the conversation instead of understanding her heart? That's your equation. Solve it. Write your answer in the comments. Like this, if it challenged you, subscribe for insights most men are never taught. And share this with someone stuck in silence, because ignoring truth always costs more than facing it.